Hi, everybody. This is Craig with Out on Film, and I want to welcome you to our In Conversations series with our very talented filmmakers at this year's festival. And I am thrilled today to be talking about the film All Shall Be Well with director Ray Yeung, who has joined us. All Shall Be Well is going to be screening it out on film on Sunday, September 29th at 6 p.m. at Landmark Midtown Art Cinema. So I hope that all of you joining us today for this conversation will go right out and get your tickets and join us for a beautiful screening of this film. And Ray, I want to welcome you back to Out on Film. Thank you for joining us, Ray Yeung.
Thank you for having me. Thanks.
So, Ray, the last time we talked was a little bit ago around Suk Suk, about two men trying to find their love and traversing a bathhouse. And today we're back talking about two women in a committed, beautiful relationship whose lives are suddenly upended when one of them passes away. So, Ray, tell us a little bit about how you came to tell the story of Angie and Pat.
So in actually in 2020, around the time that when Twilight's Kiss, Suk Suk was being released in Hong Kong, I went to a talk about the Hong Kong LGBTQ inheritance rights. During that talk, the speaker quoted three cases very similar to the storyline of All Shall Be Well, which basically is a long-term committed couple who have been living together for many years, very open to their family members. And then when one of them suddenly pass away, the surviving members start having a lot of issues with the deceased family members. And so I then after the talk, I asked the speaker to introduce those people to me who were involved in the cases and interview them. And I thought it would be an interesting story so that people can know about the lack of LGBTQ rights in Hong Kong. And also, what is the meaning of family? Is it really just someone who is the most close related to you in a kind of biological way, like blood related, so to speak, the next of kin? Or someone that who's next to you for many years, supporting you, but legally have no rights at all? Who is closer? So that's something that I want to explore with this movie.
I think one of the things that is, I think, so resonant and that I thought really came through beautifully in the movie. I mean, I watched this in Berlin and came out like, these are not your family. Be prepared. Uh, but how, so often for queer people, it's not you just lose your partner, your spouse, but you lose like your entire life and everything that you thought it was built on.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit how you came. I mean, you really tell that whole complete story of what happens to Angie.
Yes, because the case with Angie is that she has been very close to Pat, her partner's families, and then she kind of helped to look after the kids as well. So to her, she very much have a very strong identity of who she is in this family. Plus the fact that she is hold up in a very high position as well. But once when Pat is gone, she didn't just lose her lover, she also lost the home that they built for many years, but also her identity. And in the end, she also lost her dignity as well because she started having to go around and asking them to let her stay. So you can see that without legal protection and as LGBT members, you don't do anything to protect your partner, things could change very quickly and nastily for them, if you're, not around.
Right. I think one of the things that I think is very kind of resonant in how you tell the narrative and how it unfolds is that you don't villainize the Pat's family. So there's not like a clear like we come out wanting to hate these people, but it's quick, but it's also subtle how they actually view Angie and her place within the family.
Yes, because when I interview those cases, the deceased family members, they were all very, they changed very quickly. And quite ugly in many of the interviews that I encountered. Some of them even changed the lock that they stay in,
Yeah.
the deceased partner, and and I didn't want to make a movie like that because I think if you do it that way, the audience are going to come in and watch it, and they will like watching like a fairy tale. They start
Right.
thinking, "Oh, that's the hero," and then those are the villains, and they will not identify with the villains. Then they will be watching it in a very detached way, almost just like watching an entertainment kind of story. I want the audience to be able to empathize with these family members, understand why they also need this house, but at the same time, then they will question themselves. It's like, okay, if I'm in this situation, if I have this aunt who have this partner that I know they've been together for many years, and now that my aunt has passed away, would I still let this woman stay if legally now I own this apartment? So people can start questioning themselves and how basically homophobic they are. All the acceptance can be there when your aunt is there, then you can all sort of like pretend, or you can be very, accepting of their relationship. But if she's not around anymore, would you
Yeah.
then treat this woman as a stranger and kick her out? And I think that for the audience, they will be able to really think about it and question themselves. I do. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think in with the entire audience, even the queer people in the audience, be like, is would I be treated this
Mm.
way? And
Yeah.
any straight people in the audience, could this be me?
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
how do I view the validity of this relationship? And
Yeah.
I think you do that really, really well. And not only do you do that really well, but let's talk about Petra Al as Angie. She just gives a masterful performance in this because she is at times just so subtle and kind of the realization of how all of this is changing for her. Talk a little bit about bringing her into this project and how you two worked through how she
Mm.
was going to portray Angie.
I mean, Petra has been a stage actress for many, many years, and then I discover her the Twilight Kids because this was her first movie. She has never done any movies before, so it was quite a chance encounter in a way. I basically cold called the Hong Kong rep and said, I'm looking for an actress, and they introduced her to me. And then we got along really well, and she did a great performance for Twilight Kids. And so when I was writing All Shall Be Well, that was the time that we were doing a lot of Q&A together because that was the time when Twilight Kids was out, and I got to know her very well. And then I felt that she has a certain quality that I was looking for in Angie. Someone on the outside is very soft, very gentle, very warm. But inside, she's also very firm and she can be very strong. And that's exactly what Angie is like in All Shall Be Well. Someone who at first we see her, she's very, very feminine, and she's very soft, and she's very motherly. And we think, oh, well, maybe she's going to be, crumble. But through the course of the movie, we see how she gets together and how strong she can be and resilient. And I think so. I certainly, when I was writing, I already projected a little bit of Petra in the script as well. So when I finish, I show it to my producer. My producer said, are you thinking of getting Petra? Yeah, so I think, but we have a very good working relationship. But I also write a very quite a long backstory for the main characters as well. So, and I went through the journey of Angie with Petra, and then we talk about it in details. And I also have a table read and get all the actors together, and we do workshop. So I think all that help Petra to get to know the character of Angie very well.
Because you really, really connect and experience the breadth and depth of Angie's loss.
Mm.
You really, she, and you can't help but, kind of really feel that it is the depth of that loss because it's everything.
Yes, yes.
And also kind of in this, we have Angie's and Pat's their chosen family. You know, the women who come and are her family to support her in the most important time that she needs family.
Mm, yes.
A little bit how you weave, you know, traverse both of these families
Yes.
in very different ways.
It's quite interesting because when I first wrote the script, I actually Angie had got one close friend who is a straight woman who's married. And then because I said earlier that I talked to a lot of people that I interviewed and a lot of sort of like middle-aged or older lesbians. And I invited them to the table reads as a when I did multiple drafts of the script, I would invite them to come and listen to the draft of the script and give their comments. And then they said to me something that was very interesting. They said, there's something about your script that's very unrealistic, is that a lot of women of that age group, they will have a very, very close knitted of friends surrounding them. The reason is being because say if they were together 30 or 40 years ago in Hong Kong, for a woman, you have to get married. If you're not married, you're basically a black sheep of the family. So for a woman in that era, decided first of all not to get married, and then second to live with another woman, basically you will be expelled from your family. So you will have to have a very close knitted of support group. And a lot of these women who basically came out or lived with another woman would became like a very close knitted family themselves. So therefore, in your script, you must have this group of people. Otherwise, it will be very unrealistic. So therefore, I listened to them. So I changed from that one best friend into a group of yeah.
Because it does. I mean, as Angie kind of kind of reconfigures her identity, in the face of all of that group is so, like you said, is so vital and central to her.
Yes, yeah. So I think they were able to give her the spiritual support as well, and sort of a way to rediscover herself. Because for so long that I think her identity was belonging to Pat and Pat's family, and I think a lot of us do. If we are in a long-term relationship, sometimes we put ourselves so much in your partner's family as well. And so I think for her, it's just to rediscovering herself. And also because Angie, her own parents also have issues, in the story. They kind of they're much older, but also they kind of half accept it and half turn a blind eye to it. And that is something very Chinese of that generation as well. No matter how many times you come up to them, they always pretend they never heard it.
Right.
Which is very, very frustrating because you can only come out that many times, but
Right.
it's a passive aggressive way of not accepting.
Yes.
They do not argue with you, but they just pretend you never said it.
Right.
So I think so for Angie, she also have that issue. So she really needed a family, her own sort of like chosen family to support her.
That kind of really helps to have that group where your relationship is completely real and completely validated.
Yeah.
That as we question, one of the things that I think, that I hope, I mean, this is based in Chinese culture in Hong Kong at a time with a certain age group, but this is also very universal for queer people across the world. I mean, there are still, I mean, like we have marriage here, but there's still questions of families considering marriage is valid or relationships real. So I think one of the things that I think is very poignant, and I think for this film speaks to the time, is that this still is an ongoing dynamic within our relationships and families, and how as queer people we have to negotiate the world.
Well, it's true because also, even though you are married, say in the US, which is legal, but other countries do not recognize your marriage. So you also have to go through the same problem. Say if you're with your partner, but you happens to live in a country that doesn't recognize gay marriage. You could be married in Australia, Canada. They don't recognize it. You still have the same issue. So it's not something that, because, where we got married, it's legal and we are fine. No, sorry, it's not. Even for heterosexual people, if you are not married, you don't have that legal protection under the marriage framework. You also have to deal with these issues because when we show the film in Berlin, one of the first person audience who raised it, he said that, oh, I'm actually living in Scandinavia and I'm not married to my girlfriend. He's a straight guy even. And he said, I actually is going through the same problem that your character is going through, which is very interesting because when I make the movie, I actually didn't know that, wow, my God, a European
Yeah.
heterosexual male will be able to identify and going through exactly the same issue as someone who think, from a very conservative community.
Absolutely. I mean, it just it strikes across kind of like how we define and see relationships. um, so the film, I am very pleased, is doing quite well. You won the Teddy Award in Berlin, so congratulations. Talk about kind of what's been the trajectory of the film and where it's going.
Well, we it's after Berlin, I think we came back to Hong Kong. It was the opening film for the Hong Kong International Film Festival, and we released the movie. And the run was 19 weeks, which was very long
Great.
and
Yeah.
did really well. And now is going touring. It's opening in America. It was open last night at Film Forum in New York. It's opening on 27th in LA, San Francisco, Chicago, and Seattle. Hopefully Atlanta soon.
Yes,
So
hopefully.
for the movie at the film festival, and maybe it will be released later.
Excellent. Um, so, Ray, I want to thank you for joining us this today to talk about All Shall Be Well. This was one of my favorite films coming out of out of Berlin. So I'm very happy that we are able to screen it out on film, and I hope that all of you watching this today will join us on Sunday, September 29th at 6 p.m. at Landmark's Midtown Art Cinema for a very, very special screening of All Shall Be Well. Ray, last word, what are you hoping that everybody who sees this movie, what would you like for them to walk away with?
Go home and make a will.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because I am going to lecture every single person who comes to the movie.
Yes, it is very important because I know we don't want to face it, but you never know. And it's important to see it not as something sad, but as a love letter to the person you love. And then in the case that you are not around, then that person will know that you have always been thinking about their welfare. So it's important.
I think that's beautifully said, Ray. Ray Yeung, thank you for joining us here at Out on Film. And we wish you very much luck with All Shall Be Well. And we will see you next time.
Have a good festival. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.